Before the soldiers reached the gates, the general gave one order: not breach the walls, not capture the king. He said, burn the building with no weapons. The library. Every empire that ever conquered a civilization made this same calculated move. Destroy the memory before destroying the body. And the most disturbing part? It worked every single time. Not by accident, by design. What you are about to discover is not a coincidence of war. It is a pattern, one that repeats across Rome, Mesopotamia, China, the Americas, and the modern world. Every conqueror who ever reshaped civilization understood one thing that most historians refuse to say out loud. You do not control a people by breaking their bodies. You control them by erasing their reference point for reality. The library was never just a building. It was the operating system of an entire civilization. If this makes you uncomfortable, good. Subscribe, leave a comment, and hit like. What you're about to see cannot be unseen. There is a specific type of power that does not announce itself with violence. It arrives quietly, through the systematic removal of what a civilization knows about itself. When Julius Caesar's forces set fire to the docks of Alexandria in 48 BC, the flames consumed an estimated 40,000 scrolls in a single night. Caesar never apologized. He never explained. His historians framed it as an accident of war. It was not an accident. Across documented history, the destruction of knowledge repositories precedes cultural collapse with a consistency that no serious scholar can dismiss as coincidence. The pattern reveals something deeply disturbing about how power actually operates, not through fear alone, but through the manufactured absence of alternatives. When a population loses its recorded past, it loses its ability to imagine a different future. That is not a side effect of conquest. That is the objective. Psychologists who study authoritarian regimes have identified a phenomenon they call cultural amnesia, and it does not happen by accident. It is engineered. When the Mongols sacked Baghdad in 1258, they threw so many books into the Tigris River that witnesses recorded the water turning black from ink for days. That image is not just brutal, it is precise. Someone understood exactly what they were destroying. Modern cognitive science confirms what those conquerors intuitively knew. Human identity is not stored in the body. It is stored in shared narrative. Remove the narrative, and the group loses its psychological coherence within a single generation. Children born after the destruction grow up inside the conqueror's story, because that is the only story that survives. This is not metaphor. This is documented behavioral conditioning operating at a civilizational scale. The most chilling detail researchers consistently uncover is how little resistance follows a library's destruction. Because the people who would have organized the resistance, the ones who remembered, were the ones who burned with the books. Here is where the history stops being comfortable. The physical burning of libraries ended. The logic behind it never did. In 1933, Nazi Germany did not just burn books in public squares for spectacle. Each bonfire followed a meticulously researched list of authors, subjects, and ideas deemed incompatible with the new national identity. It was not rage. It was a curriculum decision. Psychologist Albert Bandura's research on moral disengagement explains precisely how educated, intelligent people participate in the systematic erasure of culture by reframing destruction as purification. The language always changes. The mechanism never does. What researchers find most disturbing is the speed at which a population accepts the new version of reality once the old one is removed. Within one generation, sometimes less. And now consider this. You live in an era where knowledge is not stored on scrolls or shelves. It lives on servers, inside algorithms, controlled by a smaller number of decision-makers than at any point in recorded history. The library is still there. You just cannot see who holds the torch. Every civilization that was erased believed it was permanent. They had libraries, philosophers, scientists, poets. They had everything except the awareness that someone was already planning which shelf to burn first. The conquerors throughout history did not fear armies. They feared people who remembered. Because memory is the only thing that makes resistance possible, and the only thing that makes freedom legible. So the real question this history forces you to ask is not what was destroyed. The question is, what are you being prevented from remembering right now? And by whom?